Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Purple Breakdown, a podcast covering the Baltimore Ravens and the news around it. I am your host, Alex, and I'm so glad to be back here and making another episode, especially today, because the NFL news is about to start getting so much bigger this week. I hope all of you are having a great weekend and ready for a happy Monday and another week to come ahead, especially since this is a big week for football coming up. This week starts the NFL Combine. I'm so excited for it. This is one thing the NFL does so well is that, yeah, the season's over, but there's always the next thing waiting to come up there and happen. Well, and also in other big news, the Olympics ended today. The closing ceremony happened, and so soon we'll have the Paralympics beginning next. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about the Ravens. So let's jump in and get onto that. So I finally got the chance to listen into that press conference from last week, and I took away some big points about this. And some of the big points that I really looked at this is that, one, when Jesse Mentor was hiring his coordinators to go along with him and the coaching staff to go along with him, he was not just looking for the best of the best, even though they're looking for great great coaches and are going to be looking for great players in free agency in the draft. But they were looking for chemistry and support and accountability between the coaches, not only between the coordinators and Mentor himself, but also between the supporting coaches for the offense, for the defense, for the special teams. And having it so that everyone's holding each other accountable and has know-how with each other so that they can have somebody that they've worked with before. And this is just going to work so well for the Ravens, and I'm glad that they took this into accountability and really focused on the hiring process and the interviews and how that went, and then supporting people around them that are really going to bring the best out of them. I mean, Mentor wasn't just doing that for his coordinators; he was doing that for himself. He surrounded himself with coordinators that will do that for him, and supporting cast. So I'm really excited to see that. The other thing that I heard out of this was that Declan Doyle wanted the offense to focus on and stand on three pillars. I think these are three amazing pillars. First one, physicality. Physicality in how they play, physicality in how they think. Two, attention on detail, that they're extremely detailed. You don't miss the smallest things. You're always thinking about how can I improve next? How can I go forward? Is there something I am missing? How am I reading defenses? How am I running my routes? Am I blocking well enough? So on and so forth. And finally, explosiveness. That you do the physicality, you do the detail, and explosiveness will come out of this. That we're going to create and generate big plays going down the field, be that on the ground through the run or in the air through the pass. And I love that he's focusing on these three things. Because the Ravens offense at times, you see it, especially with Derrick Henry and the run down the field this past year. And then at times you saw the physicality. At times you saw the detail come out and you saw the explosiveness. But at several other times you saw a lack of physicality, you saw a lack of detail, and you saw a lack of explosiveness. And I'm excited that he's going to focus on these and go forward with them. And the Ravens can do this. And this is something that the Ravens were known for, especially with running an offense that is so heavily focused on the run and using the pass as an extension of the run and how you do this with a West Coast style offense. But the Ravens brand has always been run the ball down the opponent's throat. And you know what we're going to do and daring them to stop it. And I love that Doyle's going back to this and that knowing that the run will generate explosiveness down the field. I think that this is something that the offense shouldn't be the sole focus of for this. I want these three pillars to be carried over to the defense too. Anthony Weaver has already gone and said he wants the defense to be feared. He wants to give teams 60 minutes of hell that they know they've just been in a fight. And how you do that is those same three pillars. Because that's the same thing that the Ravens have focused on for their defense is being physical, being detailed, and being explosive on the defense, that you're generating turnovers, that you're generating big hits, that you're generating big stops. And those same three pillars are the same three pillars that the defense should focus on and lean on too. Because those Declan Doyle's three pillars, I think, are the pillars that should be playing like a Raven right there. That you're physical, you're detailed, and you're explosive. And that you make sure everyone else is also that same way. You hold the other players accountable. You hold the coaches accountable. The coaches hold the players accountable and hold each other accountable. That's how this should work. The final big thing that I took away from this interview is that we're about to see a new brand of Ravens football. And we've all heard the statement, play like a Raven. Be physical, be explosive, be tough, play bully ball. And for the past almost 2 decades now, that has meant Harbaugh's system. And now Harbaugh is gone. And each head coach of the Ravens has brought a new brand to playing like a Raven. Even though there are the non-negotiables that the organization expects and the fan base expects, especially that what it has been that the Ravens have been so well known for having a strong defense, playing physical, playing bully ball, both on the offense and defense. And we're going to continue going forward expecting that. And we should expect that. But we're going to see a new brand of that under Jesse Minter and company, because every new head coach coming in is going to bring their own spin to that. And I'm excited to see how Minter brings this forward. I think he's going to bring a revival to the defense, and we're going to see a strong, tough-minded defense. They just need to focus on the detail, focus on the tackling, focus on the physicalness. And when they do all that, that's going to lead to turnovers and creating explosive plays on the defense that will allow the offense to feed off that. And I'm really excited to see how Jesse Minter throws his spin on this. This is an entirely new coaching system coming in that has their own fresh ideas. It's a mix of young and old that's going to bring together, and I think it's going to gel really well. So I can't say entirely with certainty how this new system will work, because we haven't seen it yet, and we don't know every single thing that's going through every single one of the coaches' minds. We can only get glimpses into it. And we'll see that flesh out more as training camps begin. But I think it's going to work so well, and I'm really excited to see it. And I think the glimpses into it is a 50, not a straight 50-50, but on the offense, you're going to see a very run-heavy game that's going to generate into explosive passes down the field. It may be a 40-60 split, 40 runs, 60% pass, and they're going to hopefully adapt to each time they find themselves in. Defensively, you're going to see lots of different matchups, lots of different schemes, showing pressure, not showing pressure, bringing pressure, and I'm excited to see how this is going to continue to operate. Again, we'll see how it gets fully fleshed out as training camps and we get to start seeing glimpses into the systems of how they run it, but I'm really excited to see it. So that's the big sort of ideas that I took off of listening in to the press conference from this past week with Jesse Minter and our three new coordinators. But as I stated earlier, we're getting close to the combine, which starts this week. We have free agency in a few weeks down the line, starting on March 11th, and then the draft is in April, not too long after that. So we're getting real close to new players being brought in and so on. And so in these next few weeks before free agency opens up, I'm really needing to hear news that Lamar Jackson's contract has been extended and that it's been worked out in such a way that a lot of cap space is opened up. It's a must need. We can't go into this next year. And I'm not the only one saying it. I've been saying it quite a bit. You cannot go into free agency next year with the cap hit that Lamar will have on the team. It's too large of a cap hit. It takes up too much space. So you need to open up space elsewhere. They only have about $22 million in cap space right now. So you got to find ways to open it up elsewhere. And the first step is with Lamar. No news is coming out. It's going to be very tight-lipped. It still is very tight-lipped on how it's going. Again, Lamar doesn't have an agent, so it's just him and DaCosta sitting down right now and the coaches and hashing it out. And I really expect it to get finished, and especially if he is expecting to win a Super Bowl and want to go on to win a Super Bowl, Lamar needs to accept that he needs a new contract that'll keep him in Baltimore for another 4-5 more years. And he's 29 now, and I know that could take him out to 34, but I think he's that good. I don't think we have seen the best of him. I think that's still waiting ahead of him this next year or the year after. I think if he wants to win a Super Bowl, he needs to look at this and go, okay, I need to do my part to open up the money to bring in the other players that are going to be the supporting cast to go on to make this team a successful team. The other thing that needs to be done, though, is Tyler Linderbaum's contract needs to be handled. We went into this. Linderbaum apparently rejected a contract that he was offered, and it was a hurt hit to hear, a hard thing to take, hearing that Linderbaum rejected contract offer, which makes me think that the Ravens may have lowballed his contract a little bit, especially with him saying that he would be willing to take a lesser contract to play. But you got to think from his point of view that when you're looking at this, all 31 other teams in the NFL are interested in him, especially the Chargers, the Raiders, and a whole bunch of other teams that are very center needy right now and need a stronger offensive line, a stronger center. He's a multi-time Pro Bowler who, yes, you could say concerns over health, but he's that big and impactful, and the Ravens cannot afford to lose him right now. And so I think it's time that the Ravens need to sit down and accept, yes, we need cap space to work with other, but we can generate cap space elsewhere by cutting players, trading players, extending Lamar, and the NFL is expanding the cap space coming up here. And I know it's a $22 million cap space expansion, but you need Linderbaum. And you can't franchise tag him. Franchise tagging him he's going to cost over $27 million next year then. That's what his franchise tag will be. So you can't do that. So I think the Ravens need to accept, and I already accepted going into it, that he would probably take up most of the new cap space expansion. And I think the Ravens need to just set aside and go, okay, we are going to reset what it is to be a center and reset the offensive line and how much those players get paid, and give him a $20 million contract per year. That he can get $20 million a year. Stop being cheap with him. Stop being cheap with the person that will be the centerpiece of the Ravens offensive line. And so that the Ravens can stop worrying about this and go, we can focus on guard and we can focus on rebuilding the defensive line and adding depth elsewhere. Give him a $20 million a year contract and let it be done. It's deserving, and with the cap space expansion, it's going to happen. Might as well let the Ravens be the one to reset the offensive line market. Sorry, as the NFL becomes more accessible and cap space continues to expand, players are going to get paid more, and that's just how it's going to be. Let the Ravens be the ones to do it. The other news coming out here, because I'm going into talking about generating more cap space and then Tyler Linderbaum and the contract that's around there, likely came out and talked, I believe, on John Gruden's show, that, and these comments hurt too, that Baltimore is his home. And I agree. Baltimore is his home, and I'd love to see him stay, but he has accepted reality, and that the NFL is a business. And he says business is business, and I understand that. At the NFL, first and primary foremost is a business, and the Ravens decided to extend Mark Andrews, and maybe that would have been different if John Harbaugh had been let go earlier, and Mark Andrews hadn't been extended. Then maybe likely would be the one getting extended, and Mark Andrews would be the one getting let go. But we aren't living in that world. We're living in the world where Mark Andrews was extended, and I think the Ravens need to start looking more and more towards tight end and free agency or the draft, especially with his comments recently. It's leading me to thinking that Isaiah likely will be leaving the Ravens, and he will be leaving in free agency and going to another team, and it will hurt to see him go, and especially since he has shown up in big moments for the Ravens. I would be surprised to see him stay. So the Ravens need to start looking at free agency. Who are the tight ends out there that could be affordable for them to bring in, or are they going to go the draft for this? And now I'll say this about that when looking at the draft, there's depth in the draft, and there's good players in the draft to be found. But you cannot solely rely on the draft to replace everything. The draft is your future. That's the future. The free agency is also the now. You can find players in the draft to impact now, but everyone you draft, not most of them are going to be the impact of now. Most of them will be the impact of the future. Free agency is the now. So you need to find the future in the draft and find the impact in the free agency. And now there will be some impact coming out of the draft, but don't expect the draft to be every single draft pick is like, oh my God, this is the most amazing draft ever. Every single one of them is going to be a star studded, because that doesn't happen. So you need to be looking at the free agency market too. And the Ravens have done very well. And when I look at what the Ravens should do when it comes to free agency, the draft, and I've stressed this before, that the Ravens' strategy in the past has been best available, taking what's best available. And I don't think the Ravens should move away from this. I think the Ravens should keep on the path of what is best available, because when they draft at what's best available and trade at what's best available and pick up in free agency at what's best available, they get impact players. Be it in the future or be it in the now. They get impact players that help them stay a winning organization and team. And so I really want to see DaCosta and Mentor and the coaching staff continue the draft best available and don't go reaching out. The key places and the key players are in piece there. And Anthony Weaver went into that and saying how excited he was that it wasn't a consultation prize to come to the Ravens, that the standard for defense is normally the Ravens, and that it is the place to be a defensive coordinator. And he's so excited to see the talent that is there, and the talent is on the Ravens, both offensively and defensively. You need to find the supporting cast and supporting role and impact players of the future now by doing best available, because that has been what has worked so well. And I don't expect this to change with DaCosta still being there, but I want to just preface and say now I don't want to see this change. I want to see the continuation of the pick best available mentality. And now, as we close in on free agency and the best available, there was one rumor I saw that I want to address, of that some people are linking John Hargrave to be a trade target for the Ravens, to give up a pick to bring in John Hargrave and help support the defensive line. He's a defensive tackle out of Minnesota. I mean, you look at his PFF grade, and it's a 68. He's slightly better on the pass rush than he is on the run defense. He had 28 solo tackles, 4 sacks, 20 assists, and 1 forced fumble. So he's good, but he's 33 years old. So he's on the older side. But you look at his contract, and he has a over $22 million cap hit this next year. And I understand you could be thinking, okay, look, he could be an impact player, but the Ravens can't afford a $22 million player right now. And I think my message to trades right now is that, yes, trade Marlon Humphrey, and even Rashad Bateman should be put up on the board right now for, I think, possibly. But don't go out and seeking these massive contract trades, because teams like the Vikings that are in cap space problems right now are going to be looking to trade away these players. But if they can't trade them away, they're going to cut them. Sort of like how I've said with Marlon Humphrey, that if you can't find a way to trade him, you got to cut him. Wait out. Wait. Give time. If you give time and let these cap space needy teams cut the players that are going to have massive contracts like that, you don't need to give up something and trade for them. They've been cut, and now you can bring them in for a lot less. So I think that's my message there. Be patient. Keep that strategy of what's best available for you. Don't make those trades like that. So we're about to get a real look into the draft coming up this next week. The NFL Combine starts tomorrow. It is early arrivals tomorrow. They will not be doing on the field But when you're watching, it's going to be kickers, punters, defensive linemen, and linebackers are going to be on the field Thursday and doing bench on Friday. Defensive backs and tight ends are going to be on the field Friday and doing bench on Saturday. Running backs, quarterbacks, and wideouts are going to be on the field Saturday and doing bench on Sunday. And then offensive linemen are going to be the last group to go out, and they're going to be on the field on Sunday and doing bench on Monday. And now, as they're all coming in, they're going to have 2 days of sort of interviews and conference. And so this is our first chance to start getting a view of who these players are and what they're going to turn out to be outside of what they have done in college. And so this is going to help really start to delve out and sort of look at, okay, what are these players' measurables? How are they being viewed in interviews? What can we start seeing out of them, and what's the interest that each team is having in them? And it's going to start help fleshing out our understanding of what the Ravens are more looking at coming into the draft. And I'm really excited to see it, and I'll be covering as the combine is going on, what we're thinking. When we're looking at this, I think days most important for the Ravens to be watching is going to first be that defensive line day, the on the field Thursday and Friday, and bench on Friday. Defensive backs, because you need to add depth at cornerback. And if, again, the draft is going to be very dependent on what you do in free agency. So if you're able to re-sign, Alohi Gilman and Ardarius Washington, then you may not really need to focus. Then you won't really need to focus on safety. But if you cut Marlon Humphrey, you need to focus on cornerback. And so that will be a safety right there. Not a safety, a defensive back right there. So you will need to focus on defensive back days, which is going to be on the field Friday, bench on Saturday, and then wide receivers, focusing on those on Saturday and bench on Sunday, and then offensive linemen really focusing on the guards for on-field Sunday and bench Monday. So you get something to focus on every single day of the combine, and focusing on their interviews, focusing on how they do on-field and their bench. And this is going to be the first look into them for us from outside of what they've done. And then as we continue going on closer to the draft, to personal interviews, personal workouts, infield, in-house, what the Ravens do there, we'll really get more of a view of them forward and talk about that as they go forward. So I'm really excited for this combine coming up this week in Indianapolis. I won't be there in person, but I will be watching it. So that is all I have for today. I know it has been a little bit longer of an episode than I normally do. We're coming up about past 23 minutes. But I just wanted to catch up and sort of talk about what's been going on the past few days that I've missed while I've been a little busy, and sort of catch everyone up on that. So I'd like to thank you all for joining in and jumping in. I'm apologizing for my voice. I think you could still hear it. I'm still a little sick. So I'm recovering from that still, but hopefully within the next few days, this fully clears up and I'll sound normal again. But I'd like to thank you all for jumping in and joining in. If you are listening on YouTube and really like the content that you are hearing, please remember to like the video, subscribe, comment. It makes my day when you comment. I love hearing from you. I love talking with you. We just hit 40 subscribers. So my goal is by the end of next month, let's make it up to 50 subscribers, please. So be a part of that, be a part of expanding the channel and bringing it up to 50. Share the video, like the video, comment. If you're on Spotify, please follow, leave a review, comment. I love hearing from you, the community that's on Spotify too. I would like to thank you all so much for jumping in and listening to the podcast, and I can't wait to make the next one and keep talking about the Baltimore Ravens. I'd like to thank you again. Have a great end of your weekend and a great Monday. I will see you all later. Have a great day.